Hey friends, it's Dimitri with Brushka Streetwear. Today I want to talk about cycle times and how you might use this for your clothing brand or whatever other small business that you're trying to run. But before I explain this, I kind of wanted to give a little backstory as to how I got the idea for this video. I've known about cycle times, that kind of concept, for a while now. I just haven't really applied it to my business. And it was only until last week where I got the idea to do it. So I was here in the office on a Saturday fulfilling orders like I normally do. And the post office next door, that one is closed on Saturday, so I have to travel about 20 minutes to the next town to drop off packages there in that post office. And I like to go to that town anyways because it's fun and I like to get coffee, go on a walk, and obviously drop off the orders. So I do that regardless. I also had my friend hit me up and he's like, hey, let's hang out later. And I was like, sure, I'm gonna fulfill orders and I'll meet you in town at a specific time. Now, what happened was I was kind of frantically rushing to finish and fulfill orders here. And then I got into my car and I was kind of racing over to the post office. And I ended up meeting my friend about 5 minutes late. Now, in hindsight, it wasn't the biggest deal and my friend didn't really care. But for me personally, I don't like being late. I don't like making people wait. I like to be ready and on time. And I think it's very rude to be late on people and make them wait. But like I said, in hindsight, it's not the biggest deal. But what happened was on the way when I was driving, I actually was thinking like, hey, I don't really know how long it takes to really fulfill an order in my office or to do other tasks because I have not recorded the cycle time for that and I don't have an average. So I guess it was almost a good thing that I was 5 minutes late because it got me thinking about this. And then it got me thinking that it's not been just that situation. This has happened multiple times. So I'll give you an example. Many times I would tell my wife, hey, I'm gonna stay in the office. I gotta, fulfill orders. It's gonna take me like 2 hours, right? I had a bunch of orders to fulfill. She's like, okay. And then I was like, I'll meet you at home after that. But then I would be home 45 minutes later, or it would take me 3 hours to fulfill the order. So I'd be home an hour later. So I had no real metric or gauge as to how long it's going to take to fulfill stuff or to, let's say, fold 100 t-shirts or 100 hoodies, right? Or maybe for you, you might have to print 100 t-shirts, right? You have to know how long it's going to take to do that, so you have to know the cycle time for that. So all that being said, I'm glad that happened because now what I did was I made a Google spreadsheet to start recording all that. And this video is actually going to be divided into two parts. It's going to be explaining all of this, and then there's going to be a video showing my cycle time sheet and how I set that up on Google Docs, and you can do that for free. And I'm going to be basically recording how long it takes for me to fulfill each order for an entire month. That way I can get an average for the orders and averages for the types of orders, all that kind of stuff, and you'll see that in the second video. But anyways, we're on to cycle times. So what are cycle times? Cycle time, and that's CT, that basically equals your production time, or basically how long it takes for you to do something, divided by the number of units that you have to produced. So here is a very, very simple example. Let's say that your production time, or how long it takes for you to fulfill orders, is 1 hour. And in 1 hour, you fulfilled 60 orders. That would be your cycle time. So that would equal one order per minute. Now, that's actually not too far off from reality. I've made a video in the past, several years ago, where I could fulfill a t-shirt order in under 1 minute. So that would mean I click through on the screen, print the shipping label. I would go and grab a t-shirt, put a sticker in the bag, then I would put it in the poly bag, put the labels on, all that kind of stuff. That would take me around 1 minute. And I have maintained that time. That's still a standard. But what happened was over the years, I was actually operating off a false premise, thinking that every order is going to be taking 1 minute. For some reason, I was not really thinking through that. I think the reason why is because back then my business was way, way, way simpler. I just had mostly stickers, t-shirts, and hoodies, but today I have lots of hats, I have patches, I sell print ads, posters, books. All that stuff takes a lot longer to fulfill and to package than it does to fulfill one t-shirt, and one t-shirt roughly is about 1 minute. So I knew that if I had, you know, a drop and I had a bunch of orders that day, that it would roughly take me maybe about an hour to get all that done. But today it does not work for that. So this is why having cycle times is really important. And that's where we're going to go on to the why. Why do you need to have a cycle time? The first thing is that you can have basically a better schedule. Better schedule. If you know your cycle times, you're going to be able to better divvy up the hours for the day, and you're going to know exactly how long it's going to take to do certain things. Let's say that you're printing stuff, you know how long each shirt is going to take or each hoodie is going to take. You're fulfilling stuff, you're going to know that. Maintenance, anything you can do for that. You're going to have standards. You're going to know how long everything takes. You can improve on your speed. So let's say that it's taking you 1 minute and 30 seconds to fulfill a hoodie order. Well, how can you look at your setup and tweak it so that it gets better and faster so that it takes you less time to do it? When I started to record my fulfillment times today, I was surprised. I actually found like 3 small tweaks that I can make to my setup and stuff around here so that that time will shrink down. I'll be able to fulfill more orders per hour. And basically the amount of time I take out of the day to fulfill orders will be less, so I can focus on other important things in the business like designing, like communicating with my manufacturers, that kind of stuff. You know, all that stuff in the business. There's all sorts of stuff that needs to be done, and there's only a certain amount of time in the day, and there's only me and sometimes Michael here, so my schedule is pretty packed. Another thing why your cycle times are important is because you can basically have a metric for your employees or for yourself. So this one's very important. Almost every business does this. Like I said, if it takes about 1 minute to fulfill a t-shirt order, after an employee that you have is trained well, they should be meeting this standard or getting close to it. And for you as an owner, let's just say you're running it by yourself, you know that you gotta meet or beat this standard, and it's gonna be around that time. So the final thing that maybe you guys will get the most from is the application. So how can you apply this to your business? So the first one obviously is fulfillment. The biggest thing with cycle times is it's very directly related to manufacturing. So if you are producing your own clothing, like you printing, embroidering, that kind of stuff, this is especially important for you. So you will know how long it's going to take for you to complete all that so that your customers have an expectation, right? So manufacturing, like I said, printing, embroidery, that kind of stuff. Maybe some of you guys, you know, you print your own stickers. Anything that you manufacture for your clothing brand, knowing your cycle times is going to be super, super critical. Another one is maintenance. Maintenance, I didn't really spell that right. So let's say that you have a warehouse and it needs to be cleaned up at the end of the day. Knowing how long each process is going to take, let's say they have to empty something out a certain way, you have to clean the printer a certain way, you have to do all this kind of stuff, you're going to know exactly how long it should be taking you, and that way you can have clear standards and expectations, and you could schedule everything much better. So that is what cycle times are and why I think it's important to have that for your business. And like I said, I'm recording my cycle times for fulfillment specifically because I do not really manufacture stuff here. And that's where my focus is at. But in the future, as my aspiration is to be geared towards manufacturing, I'm definitely going to implement this, and it's going to be even more useful for that. But yeah, that's cycle times. If you guys have any comments or questions, you can leave them down in the comment section below, and I'll catch you guys later. Thanks.